I bought a bankrupt trucking company for $1. Here is how I fixed the 300K per month loss. Most people think you need millions of dollars to buy a business doing $12 million in revenue. That is a lie. You don't need money. You need the stomach to handle problems that other people are too scared to touch. I remember standing in a gravel lot in West Texas. It was 100 degrees, but I felt a chill. I was looking at 50 semi-trucks owned by a company called Atlas Logistics. 30 of them were parked, engines cold, tires gathering dust. The owner, a man named Mike, was standing next to me. He looked like he hadn't slept in a month. He handed me the keys to the building and said, "It's over. The bank is coming next week." I reached into my pocket and pulled out a single, crumpled $1 bill. I handed it to him. He took it, got in his pickup truck, and drove away without looking back. I had just bought a company doing $12 million a year for $1. But here is the catch. I didn't buy a fortune. I bought a ticking time bomb. The company was bleeding $300,000 in cash every single month. It had $4 million in debt. If I didn't fix it in 30 days, I wouldn't just lose my dollar. I would be personally liable for payroll and tax liens. Why did I do it? Because I saw something the bank didn't. I saw a utilization gap. Walking into that office was like walking into a funeral. The dispatchers were staring at their phones, ignoring ringing lines. The drivers in the break room looked at me with pure hatred. They knew Mike was gone. They saw me as the private equity vulture coming to strip the assets and fire everyone. I called an emergency meeting. I stood on a chair so everyone could see me. "Listen to me," I said. "I know you think I'm here to fire you. I'm not. I'm here to stop this ship from sinking. But right now, we are burning $10,000 a day. We have zero cash in the bank. Payroll is in 2 weeks. If we don't change everything immediately, checks will bounce." The room was silent. Then the operations manager, a guy named Dave, who was very popular with the drivers, crossed his arms and smirked. "Good luck, boss. The market is dead. You can't squeeze blood from a stone." That smirk bothered me. It wasn't the look of a worried employee. It was the look of someone who knew something I didn't. That night, I didn't go home. I locked myself in the office with 2 years of financial records. I needed to find where the $300,000 was going. I looked at the P&L, profit and loss statement. Rent? Normal. Insurance? High but expected. Salaries? Standard. Fuel costs? Wait. I stared at the fuel line item. In the trucking industry, fuel should be 30 to 35% of your revenue. If you're inefficient, maybe 40%. Atlas Logistics was spending 58% of its revenue on diesel. That is mathematically impossible. A truck physically cannot burn that much fuel unless it is leaving a trail of diesel on the highway. I pulled the GPS logs for truck number 42. Then I pulled the fuel card transaction history for truck number 42. I overlaid the data. GPS data. Truck number 42 was parked in a rest stop in Dallas at 2 p.m. on Tuesday. Fuel card data. The fuel card for truck number 42 was used to buy 100 gallons of diesel in Houston, 250 miles away, at 2:15 p.m. My blood ran cold. The truck wasn't even there. I checked another truck. Same thing. I checked a third. Then I saw a transaction for unleaded gas. Semi-trucks don't use unleaded gas. Personal cars do. I realized the ghost expense wasn't inflation. It wasn't the market. It was internal theft, widespread organized larceny. The drivers were using company cards to fill their personal cars, their wives' cars, and selling fuel for cash to other truckers. And who signed off on all these fuel reports every week? Dave, the operations manager with the smirk. I had found the leak. It was costing us $50,000 to $70,000 a month. But firing Dave wasn't simple. He controlled the drivers. If I fired him, the drivers might walk out, the trucks would stop, and the company would die instantly. I had to execute a surgical removal without killing the patient. How did I confront Dave and turn the hostile workforce to my side in a single morning?
The next morning, at 6 a.m., I sat in Dave's office. I had the stack of GPS reports and fuel receipts on his desk. When Dave walked in, coffee in hand, he froze. He saw the papers. He knew. I didn't yell. I didn't get angry. In business, anger is a weakness. I spoke softly. Dave, I've matched the GPS coordinates with the fuel swipes. You've authorized over $200,000 in fraudulent fuel purchases in the last 6 months. That is grand larceny. It carries a prison sentence of 5 to 10 years. Dave started to stutter. I can explain. I cut him off. No, you can't. Here's the deal. You are going to sign this resignation letter immediately. You will leave the keys on the desk and you will walk out the door. If you do that, I won't call the sheriff. If you hesitate for 1 second, I dial 911. He signed the paper with a shaking hand. Within 2 minutes, the cancer of the company was gone. But now came the hard part, the drivers. Dave was their ringleader. Without him, they were scared, paranoid, and dangerous. If I fired them all, I would have 50 empty trucks and a $4 million debt I couldn't pay. I gathered the drivers in the garage. The atmosphere was thick with tension. They were expecting me to bring in the police. I looked at them. Dave is gone. I know about the fuel theft. I know about the personal cars. I know everything. A few drivers looked at the floor. One big guy crossed his arms, ready to fight. But, I continued, I am not going to fire you, and I'm not calling the police, because I know why you did it. Big Mike paid you $18 an hour. You can't feed a family on that. You stole because the system was broken. I paused. Today, I am breaking the system. I am eliminating your hourly wage. The room erupted. You can't do that. We'll quit. Quiet, I shouted. I'm cutting your hourly wage to 0. Instead, I am giving you 25% of the load profit. I drew a diagram on the whiteboard. If you haul a load for $2,000 and the fuel costs $500, the profit is $1,500. Your share is $375 for 1 day of driving. That is double what you make now. But here's the catch. I pointed to the fuel line. Fuel is now an expense against the profit. If you steal fuel, you aren't stealing from me anymore. You're stealing from your own check. If you idle the engine all night, you're burning your own money. The mood in the room shifted instantly. They were doing the math in their heads. I wasn't treating them like employees anymore. I was treating them like partners. In that moment, I created a culture of peer accountability. If one driver saw another driver stealing fuel, he would stop him, because that theft lowered the company profit pool. I didn't need to be the police anymore. Greed would police them for me. Within 30 days, the fuel theft dropped to 0. Our fuel costs went from 58% of revenue down to 35%. That single move saved us $60,000 a month. The bleeding had stopped. But we weren't safe yet. We were just floating. We were hauling what is called general freight: toilet paper, water bottles, lumber. This is the bottom of the barrel. The rates were terrible, about $1.80 per mile. After paying the drivers, fuel, insurance, and the massive debt service, we were breaking even. Breaking even doesn't pay off a $4 million debt. I looked at our customer list. We were competing with 10,000 other trucking companies for the same cheap loads. It was a race to the bottom. I realized, we are selling a commodity. We need to sell a solution. I called my sales manager, Sarah. She was used to the old way, calling brokers and begging for loads. I told her, Sarah, stop taking loads for toilet paper. We are pivoting. We are only going to haul time-critical emergency freight. She looked at me like I was crazy. Boss, we don't have the contacts for that, and if we mess up one delivery, they sue us. She was right. It was dangerous. But I found a specific niche in the oil and gas industry called hot-shotting. When an oil rig breaks, they lose $50,000 an hour. They'll pay anything to get a part there fast. I developed a bold, no-cure, no-pay offer that scared my lawyer, but got us into the offices of the biggest oil companies in Texas. Here is how I structured the deal that tripled our revenue per mile, overnight.
We had stopped the internal theft and the drivers were motivated, but we were still driving cheap commodities for $1.80 a mile. We needed to focus on pain points. Where does a large company feel the most financial pain? When their revenue stops. In the oil and gas industry, if a drill rig goes down, they lose up to $50,000 per hour. I told Sarah, the sales manager, we are selling time insurance, not transportation. We're targeting hot-shot emergency freight. I threw out the old price book. We created a new pricing structure based on the client's urgency, not our cost of operation. Our new rate was not $1.80 a mile. It was $5.50 to $6 per mile, plus a guaranteed emergency dispatch fee. This was a 300% price increase. Sarah was terrified. Nobody will pay that, boss. It's insane. I showed her the math. If a company is losing $50,000 an hour and we can save them 10 hours of downtime by delivering a critical part in 5 hours instead of 15, we are saving them $500,000. Paying us $6,000 is cheap. To justify this insane price, we had to offer an insane guarantee. We couldn't just say we were fast, we had to guarantee it. I wrote up a new contract template. My lawyer nearly had an aneurysm. The offer: Atlas Critical Logistics guarantees pickup within 1 hour of the call and delivery by the exact time promised, or the entire freight charge is free. This was the key that unlocked the high-value market. We removed 100% of the risk from the client. I told Sarah, your job isn't to sell the price, it's to sell the guarantee. Go to the biggest plant managers, not the purchasing agents. Tell them, we will stop the bleeding for you. Put the risk on us. Our first high-stress load was hauling a specialized valve from Oklahoma City to a drilling site in North Dakota, a 1,300-mile run. We charged them $7,500 up front. My driver, Mike, not Big Mike, knew he had 25% of that $7,500 load. He treated that critical valve like it was his own child. He drove efficiently, legally, but relentlessly. He delivered the load 3 hours early. The plant manager was so relieved, he paid us a $500 bonus on the spot. Suddenly, our 50 trucks were not just moving, they were moving the highest margin, highest priority freight in the region. The profit share pivot I implemented in Part 2 hit its full stride. The average driver went from making $3,500 a month to making $7,000 a month in profit share and salary, without cheating on fuel. They became fiercely loyal and incredibly efficient. The financial results were immediate and transformative. Revenue per mile tripled from $1.80 to $5.50 average. Utilization rate hit 95%, 30 parked trucks now rolling. Monthly loss, the minus $300,000 bleed, stopped and flipped to a plus $100,000 net profit within 90 days. We were cash flow positive, but we still had the $4 million debt hanging over us, payable to the bank. I needed a strategic partner to accelerate the debt repayment, and the best partner is often the person who wants to crush you the most. I identified our biggest competitor, Mega Freight, the regional giant that owned the biggest market share. They were scared of our speed and efficiency. I made them a Trojan horse offer that appeared to be a surrender, but was actually the final key to paying off the entire $4 million debt in 18 months and exiting the company with $8 million.
We were profitable, turning a $300,000 monthly loss into a $100,000 profit. But the $4 million debt was still a ticking clock. Paying it off organically would take years. I needed acceleration. Our biggest competitor, Mega Freight, was a dinosaur. They were huge, but slow. They had massive contracts with major manufacturers, but they couldn't handle the high-stress, time-critical loads we specialized in.
Their inefficiency was my opportunity. I called the CEO of Megafreight, a guy named Hank, and invited him to lunch. Hank was arrogant. He said, "You fixed Mike's mess, kid, but you're small. We can crush you any time." I smiled and pushed a contract across the table. "I'm not here to compete, Hank. I'm here to make you look good. I offered to be your exclusive subcontractor for all time-critical and emergency overflow freight." Hank looked confused. "You want to work for us?" "Yes," I said. "You take all the credit and the primary contract fee. You tell your biggest clients, the ones who call you screaming about a broken machine, that you have the fastest hotshot fleet in Texas. We charge you $5.50 a mile, and you charge your client $6.50. You make $1 for zero effort, and you keep your clients happy." This was the Trojan horse. I was using Megafreight's massive client base as my free sales funnel. They solved my customer acquisition cost problem overnight. The deal was finalized. Megafreight gave us all their high-margin, high-stress loads they used to hate. This provided Atlas Logistics with guaranteed, high-volume, high-rate freight that kept all 50 trucks running 24/7. The results were staggering. With the guaranteed influx of high-margin freight from Megafreight, Atlas Logistics' net monthly profits soared to $250,000. The $4 million debt was paid off in full in just 18 months. The bank was thrilled. The company I bought for $1 was now debt-free and generating $3 million in annual net profit. I ran the business for one more year, cleaning up the books and proving consistency. Then I put it up for sale. Atlas Logistics was acquired by a national logistics conglomerate for $8 million, a 4x multiple of the new stable profit number. I had turned $1 and 30 days of hard work into $8 million in 2 years. Final takeaways and mindset shift. This entire journey teaches you 3 crucial lessons about business and wealth creation. Stop competing on price, compete on pain. Niche. Don't sell the cheapest solution, toilet paper logistics. Sell the most valuable solution, emergency shutdown prevention. Value is created in the urgency, not the commodity. Incentives are everything. The best management tactic is not supervision, it's self-governance through profit sharing. When you align your employees' greed with the company's profitability, your problems solve themselves. The best deals are built on debt and distress. Never be afraid of a company that is losing money. If you can find the leak, plug it, and reposition the asset, you can buy wealth for the price of courage. Go find a problem everyone else is running from. That's where the real money is made. If this story inspired you, hit subscribe.